There we go. So basically today what we're going to do is give a short overview of what the Emoti-Con event is like, so just an idea of what to expect and how to prepare your students a bit before June 2nd, and then we'll go through the badging system. So again, thanks for being here. So first of all, this is our current list of organizations that are registered for Emoti-Con. So if you don't see the name of your organization on here, please let me know. I know we did a survey early on to see who was interested way before we actually opened registration, so maybe you filled that out but you didn't get to the point of actually doing the registration. So just in case, if you don't see yourself on there, feel free to shoot me an email or ask a question at the end of the webinar about it. We have a really great turnout so far and some really fabulous projects signed up. It's going to be a fantastic event, a really great diversity of projects we're seeing also. So if you're still intending to sign up, there's a little bit of space left. Just let me know as soon as you can. Great. So a little bit of background on what the day is going to run like. Students who are presenting projects should plan to be there at 11 a.m. so that they have time to set up their tables and make sure that they have access to outlets or whatever they need to display their materials. Any student, if you're bringing students who are just going to be there as audience members to support their team or to see the rest of the event, they don't have to get there until 11:30, so they have a little more time in the morning. Things that students who are presenting should bring, obviously their projects, any kind of displays that they want for their table. Each group will have about a 3-by-4 foot space to display their work, so they can have a science fair board or a poster board, whatever they want in addition to their project. Anything that might be online, so if your students have done a web design project or an app, anything like that, you should have offline versions available just to make sure that there's no delay in being able to display your projects, that if you get booted off the internet, Parsons has in the past been generous enough to be able to share their wireless, but we don't want to count on it, so definitely you need an offline version of everything. And then also anything else that you might need to share your students' projects or for them to make their presentations. So if you need speakers, laptops, that kind of thing, just to be sure that you bring them. I know it sounds obvious, but it's really, I've definitely been in the position of having a bunch of slides ready and then nothing to show them on. So these are just the quick reminders for that. And then here's the basic agenda. I've highlighted some of the highlights of the day. So the project fair is going to be at 1:20, which is when everybody has the opportunity to check out each other's projects, to be at their own table showing off the project that they've brought and explaining it to the audience. And then we have a great panel of speakers this year. We have some names that some students may recognize, some names that you may recognize. Jeffrey Yohalim is actually one of the lead writers of the Assassin's Creed video games. Naveen Salvadorai is one of the co-founders of Foursquare, and Aya Badir and Michael Edwards both have really great backgrounds and really great youth-oriented web. Michael in web stuff and Aya in physical computing. So we're really excited to have all four of them. Basically, the way the day runs is that during the project fair, we have anonymous judges in the audience, and they'll be checking out projects and nominating a couple finalists who will then have the opportunity to go in front of the entire group and present their projects. So that's what the distinction between the youth project fair and presentations from the finalists is there. So how students can be prepared for this? They can have a short pitch about their project so that when folks are visiting their table during that project fair, they are prepared with something to say. They don't feel like they're put on the spot. So just a little something that will explain what their project is, what it does, anything they can tell about how they made it, what their design process was, any prototyping that they did is all really exciting stuff for us to hear. And then also if they can have a short pitch or presentation prepared that they can use if they're selected as finalists. So this can obviously be really similar to what they would say at the table as well, but just to let them know that if they're picked as a finalist, they will be expected to go in front of the entire group and give a presentation, which is a really exciting opportunity. So it's great if students can just be aware that that's a possibility that could be in the cards for them if they make it to the finalist stage. And then, of course, having an engaging table display, so something that demonstrates all the hard work that they've done to put their project together. Are there any questions so far about just the way the day will run or anything that you might need to tell your students about coming to Emoti-Con? Doesn't look like, I don't see any hands up or anything, but okay, so I'll move on. And actually, Mark's going to move on and talk a little bit about badges now. Mark, are you there? All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about badges.
Now I'm here. I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Sorry. The toggle on GoToWebinar is awesome. No, there's no, Barry, there's no back channel, sadly. GoToWebinar is limited in that way. But feel free to start a back channel should you feel the need. So basically the overview is for folks who don't know, Mouse, along with other members of the steering committee at Global Kids, New York Public Library, and Parsons, specifically Parsons Space, Ann Gaines is the lead over there. Barry Joseph and Chris Shoemaker and Jack Martin are all on the webinar, and if anyone has questions beyond what we cover today, feel free to reach out to myself or any one of the folks I just mentioned who are absolutely co-founders and co-collaborators on every aspect of Emoti-Con. Mouse happens to be the lead on the portion we're going to talk about now, which is really exciting. Through the last, the last round of RFPs in summer of 2011, Emoti-Con was funded, and with Mouse as the lead, to essentially develop an app that would help each of the participating institutions issue badges for Emoti-Con to their students. And what you see here is basically the series of categories that Naomi will talk a little bit about, I think, but I'll just mention quickly. So every organization hopefully will have, that's registered, is going to have presenters coming with them as opposed to just sort of audience members for the day. Best pitch is just that. It's essentially awarded to folks who have the best sort of demonstration of their process or their work through the live presentation. The crowd favorite is voted on by youth, so it's a peer awarded badge for the project that gets the highest number of votes among peers for overall sort of quality and impact. Most innovative is the badge for young people whose project most sort of goes past this, is sort of on the edge of innovation, doing and sort of pushing the envelope as to the potential of their medium. Most entertaining is that I think I described at our Hive meetup last week. Last year's most entertaining badge went to, or award, we didn't have a badge last year, went to a project who in one corner of the room had people just laughing and sort of giggling hysterically as they used it. I think it was an IOP project. That incorporated sound into the arts, and it was pretty awesome. And then most social impact is exactly what it sounds. Part of the thrust of Emoti-Con is about putting young people in the role of authors and creators, and in the context of a set of skills that we want them not only to be thinking about applying, but applying to the world around them, whether it's in their local or global communities. And so the most social impact award goes to the project who best embodies that sort of value for us. So we were funded to build this app, and essentially what it's going to do, and what Naomi's going to walk through, is have each of you sort of have the reins to be able to issue badges to your own users through a unique email for each one of them. We'll show you how that happens. I'll just say at the start a few things I want to mention is that number one, this process was very much, the way that we wrote this proposal was very much as a sort of beta partner to the open badge infrastructure from Mozilla. And so part of the goal here was to really have an early use case for the OBI that effectively integrated badges for a sort of isolated event or network like ours, and pulled them into the OBI to help people start to share through the backpack. We are doing that, and as probably half of the folks at least on this call know, that's an evolving process. Our collaboration with folks from Mozilla and the Open Badges project is ongoing, and I will just say it's absolutely, we're at early iterations of how this is going to work, and so some of the things you'll see in terms of the workflow here today and just sort of the user experience are things that we're constantly working on, making better, both on the certainly Mouse's side for our own system, but also other Hive members, and also on Mozilla's part. And I'll just say that they have been super responsive and open to feedback. And I think on behalf of the steering committee, I'm extremely grateful for just how responsive the team there has been to making some of the changes that we've felt are really important, especially when thinking about badging for teens and thinking about that as a unique user experience. I'll also mention just a couple of things. So Mouse led the web development process here, but we also had awesome collaboration from a team of students at Parsons who were funded to also work on some of the individual badge design. So a shout out to them, who have been super helpful and responsive, and have also taught us a lot along the way in terms of what things need to look like and work like to make this work. And then last but not least, I know he was signed up, but I'm not sure that he's on. But I know that Barry is on, and I believe John Finkelstein from BadgeStack is also on the webinar. And I just want to address quickly that the Emoti-Con badging project was funded shortly before the Hive badging platform that's being initiated through BadgeStack came to be, and that group between us at Mouse and being that Barry is a steering committee member, that conversation is very much ongoing in terms of how in the coming years we'll integrate Emoti-Con badges into the rest of what the Hive is doing with BadgeStack. So if you are, the thing I want to make sure of is that for folks who are considering BadgeStack as their platform for Hive issued badges, keep doing that, and that is terrific, and we are very much a collaborator and partner in that process. And Emoti-Con is unique in that it's an early use case for us to help figure out how does a sort of independent system fit into what's happening in BadgeStack. And so I want to make sure that folks don't fear issuing through the Emoti-Con platform or through the BadgeStack platform. Those things will eventually talk to one another as it makes sense and works, and we are very much all part of the same team. So if you have questions about that kind of integration, feel free to ask myself or Barry down the line, but I just wanted to put that out there before we start. And now, without further ado, Naomi, if you want to just walk us through the process, that would be great. And I will manage the questions in the chat, so if you guys have questions, feel free to plug them in, and I will do my best to get to as many as possible. Muting.
Thanks so much, Mark. So that's really great background on this whole system that we're about to review, and let's hop to it. So the first thing we need is we just need a contact email address at your organization. So before you'll be able to award badges, we create an account for you that allows you to award those badges. So some things to keep in mind when you're deciding what this email address will be. The email address that you designate will be receiving notifications, so it should be one that is available to anyone, an email address that's available to whoever will be giving out badges on behalf of your organization. It'll also be your login and username, so you can only have one email contact per organization. So if you give me something now and you need to change it later, you can just email me and I'll update that for you so that you have a new login and a new way to receive those notifications. So this is how badging works on your end as the badge giver. You would go to emoti-con.org and log in. So this is just what our homepage looks like right now with another, I should have said from the very beginning actually, Mark mentioned that a great team of students from Parsons designed the logos for our badges, and they actually also designed our the logo for this year's Emoti-Con, which is really exciting and which we're happy to be using here. So you log in, and you see all these badges that Mark just gave that great overview of. There's a short description of what each badge means, you know, why it's awarded, and you can also see how many of them have been awarded. As Mark mentioned, the very first one there, the presenter badge, can be awarded by anybody, so whoever your organization has the login can go ahead and log in, and they can give that to your students. And then for the other ones, you can select who the award should go through, but it will be, there's another intermediary step that I'll go to, which I might be confusing right now. So anyway, but as you're looking, you can see that for each badge, there's an option to either give the award or to manage recipients. So if you click on Manage Recipients, you'll see who's already been awarded. Like if you notice that someone hasn't accepted their badge yet, you can also check here and see whether they've accepted it, whether it's been deemed invalid. All the possible statuses are there on the side that you can see. And then, oh, and I should mention, oh, actually, if you didn't see already, Mark pointed out that Carla said there will be additional platforms coming online. Sorry, I just noticed that. So, so that's what you see when you click on Manage. If you click on Award, it gives you this form that helps you just determine who the badge goes to. So you can put in multiple recipients. So you can send the same badge to more than one student at a time. The Notes section, just a note on that, is that whatever you fill in there is just internal. So it's available at that Manage Badges page, but the students that you're awarding these badges to won't see the notes that you enter there. And then your name should actually be your name, not the name of the person who's getting the badge, but the name of the person who's giving it. At the bottom, you see the terms and conditions. So the main issue here is that since these badges are going out to young people, we just need to be sure that you have their permission to use their email address. So you're verifying when you hit accept there that the students whose email addresses you're entering are 13 years old or older, and that your organization has their permission to use their email addresses, as that's the way the badging works through their email. So once you enter that, this screen just gives you a chance to review the information, make sure that you've entered the email addresses correctly, and then you hit Submit. And it'll take you back to the Manage Badge page. So again, you have the chance to verify what you've just done. At this point, there's actually, I believe, not a way to undo. So that's why we have this page that gives you the chance to review the information, because once you've hit Submit, you can't take back a badge that you've issued. But here you can see, but students do have the option to turn them down. So you can see what the statuses are here, and it'll tell you how many badges you just awarded. So like we said, if you award one of the prize category badges, it will be reviewed by Emoti-Con admin, and then when it's approved, the issuer will get an email to say, in this case, Mark won the best pitch badge. Congratulations, Mark. So you get this email to say that it has gone through, and then the student will get the notification saying that they've been awarded this badge after you get it saying that it's been approved. So now here's what your students see on their end. And first, so Mark mentioned that they need to have this, have a membership or an account in the Open Badge infrastructure. So we'll talk about that later, but this is assuming that they already have their badge backpack set up. This is how they would accept their the awards that you send them. First of all, they'll get this email saying congratulations and telling them that they've gotten a badge from Emoti-Con. They can click on any of the links that are in that email to view and accept the badge. So here the screenshot on the left shows what it looks like when they go to one of those links, and then they click accept at the bottom of the page, and they're asked to sign into their Open Badge backpack. So this is again assuming that they already have their backpack set up. This is how it would go. They sign in here, and they log in using the email address that they've selected to be associated with their backpack. And then they have the chance to, again, another chance to change it if they want to use a different email address. And then they have a badge. They've added one to their backpack. So there are two links here, and just a note on, if they click on the thanks button there, it just shows them, it verifies again that the badge has been awarded, and they get to see a description of it. But if they click on the other link, which is Open Badge Backpack, they get to see what is currently in their backpack. So on the left, it's whatever badges they've already added, and then on the right, they have the opportunity to make groups by dragging whichever badges they want over. So the groups are just a way for them to organize their badges. So if they want to show off certain sets of badges with the idea that, maybe they'll do Emoti-Con year after year, and they'll want a category for their 2012 badges and then their 2013 badges, or eventually they'll have other badges that they're receiving in the Open Badge system, and they'll want to display those in separate groups as well. So they drag it over, and they have the opportunity to give the group a name, as you can see. And then there's this little sideways V that they can click on, and that's how they'll share the badge over social media. So this is really how they display their badges. So they click on that, and they'll get this option, a drop-down menu that says Share This, and they can share it over Facebook, Google+, or Twitter at this point. And then there's also it's not visible right now because the drop-down menu is down, but there's also an edit button. So that little description on the right that says, I got this badge for presenting my physical computing project, that's something that I just entered as a demo, and students can enter their own description to explain what the badge stands for. And this is the public side. So for example, if they're sharing their badge over Facebook and they know that not a lot of their Facebook friends know about Emoti-Con, they might want to give a little explanation of how they won this and what Emoti-Con means to them, that kind of thing. And then, so they pick the network that they want to use. In this case, it's Google+, and they put in whatever note they want. You can tag people, just like on Google+ and Facebook. And then this is what it looks like when it's displayed. So this is how it looks on a Google+ page. And this is what it looks like on a Facebook page. Mark is really racking up the badges. So that's the process when students already have their backpack set up. So it's something that they can do independently. It's pretty, they just click through. They need to be able to have access to their email, but besides that, it's pretty straightforward. And then this is how they can set up their online backpacks. So this might be something that you would want to do with students as a group, just to make sure that everyone knows how to use the backpack system before they start playing with the badges and showing them off. So this is just a quick step-by-step of how to do that. Again, they'll get that notification email, but if they click on any of those links, instead of, they'll be asked to verify their email address because it's not one that's already in the system. So when they enter the email address they want to use for their backpack, they click verify, the slide could not load. Anyway, there's a confirmation email. They get a notification that they'll be receiving a confirmation email and that they should look out for it. So they have to check their email, and then they click on the link there to complete the new account through the Open Backpack system, Open Badge Backpack. So they click on the link in the email, and then it gives them the opportunity to create a password. And then this is the message that they get. So it's important to note that they're not automatically redirected to the backpack. To the badges that they would be, to the backpack or to the badge page. So, but it tells them where to go. So you can see right now it's directing them, you should go to stage.openbadges.org. So when they go there, they again verify, they can sign in using the email address that, and the login information that they just set up. And you'll see that they don't have any badges yet because they haven't connected the badge that they were awarded to the backpack yet. So from here, they can go back to that original email. They just click on one of the links, and the process from here is just the same as the process for a student who already had a backpack set up, where they click on a link, and then they're taken here, and they can accept their award, and then move through and share through social media, create groups of badges and share through social media. So it's, like I said, just because doing everything at once is a little bit of a long process, you might want to consider sitting down with your students to help them create their backpack, the login for their backpack first, and then on their own time they can accept badges and make groups and all of that. But basically, this is the rundown, and as long as they have access to email throughout the process, it should be pretty manageable for them to just do on their own also. The one thing to notice is just that emails are coming from a few different places, so anything that's directly generated, a notification that they received a badge, or that, I guess the notification that they received a badge will come from badges@emoticon.org, and then the notifications, the other notifications are coming from different places. So if your students think like, oh, I did create an account but it didn't show up, just remind them to check their spam filter and to make sure that they realize that the email, that even if they added, badges@emoticon.org to their address book or to their safe senders list, the other notifications may come from other places. So they just have to look out for that. And that's the rundown. I know I went through that a bit fast, but if anyone has any questions now, I'll just take a look. I know Mark's been answering questions over chat, but I'm also happy to unmute if you have things that you want to share with the group about this. If you have some insight or some, you can go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to be unmuted to share with the group, or we'll just take some questions over chat as they come up. And Mark, definitely if you have anything to add, please jump right in. Yeah,
a couple of things. Feel free. So if people have questions, excellent. Also, if you have any comments or thoughts. So Carla, I know from the Mozilla team, is on the phone or on the webinar, and Jonathan and some other folks. And so, guys, if anyone has thoughts or questions about how this project has sort of work, some of our successes and challenges, that kind of stuff, feel free to ask any of those kinds of things. Barry just wants to jump like Mario. I won't unmute you for that, Barry, but let me know if you want me to, and I'm happy if you want to do the sound effect. So feel free to raise your hand, and I will unmute anyone who wants to talk about the project more broadly. But I think we want to be sensitive to, there are a bunch of folks on here who are sort of thinking about how to just sort of operationalize Emoti-Con, and I want to make sure you all have those questions answered. So I don't see any hands raised. The one thing that I want to make sure to reiterate for people is, especially for those of you who are joining Emoti-Con for the first time and who are less familiar with how the badging project has sort of come about and are newer to the language of OBI and all of those things. Essentially, I want to make sure that all the participants for Emoti-Con realize that what we built is essentially an app that allows you or your institution to issue badges yourself. So to make the distinction, I want to be sure you understand that Emoti-Con, the steering committee, will actually not be issuing any badges. The only time we'll be having any interference in running any interference in the process is when if you award a badge for a winning project, say in a category like best pitch, the steering committee will have an admin, and we do approve those. But beyond approving the specific award badges, it's you who awards the badges through the app. And so I want to make sure everyone realizes what we built requires a totally active role on the part of the institutions. And we'll be there on the day of, and I'll be available anytime to answer questions. And the rest of the steering committee can also answer questions about how it works and if you're having any issues issuing. But I want to make sure that everyone on the call who's attending Emoti-Con realizes that there's an action step for you just after the event, which is you're going to go in with the login that we provide you. You're going to go in and you're going to award badges to at least your presenting youth, and hopefully you'll have some of the category awards to award as well. I hope that makes sense. I still don't see any hands up, so I'm going to assume that means people are just ridiculously psyched about this and also want to say great job, Naomi, on the overview, and Barry's in a lunch coma. So if anyone else has any thoughts, I'll give a minute for people to raise hands, but beyond that, if folks have any questions, feel free to email myself or any of the other steering committee members, and we will definitely answer. We also have, Naomi, do you want to just mention the Emoti-Con email address, which folks can also tap at any time?
Yeah, definitely. So you can email, it's emoticon.nyc@gmail.com, and I'll just send that out in chat to everybody so you can all see it. Or you can email me or Mark, so I'll put those in there as well. And the other thing is I'll just be following up with everyone who attended today to check in about who you want to designate to, or what email address you want to designate for your account. So just watch out for an email, and I'll also hopefully be able to link to a recording of this webinar. So if you want to share it with anybody else in your organization who wasn't able to attend, but who you think would take on part or all of that active role in assigning badges to your students, you'll have the opportunity to do that as well.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks for joining.